Hello, and welcome to part 3 of my Echo Fighter video series. In the last two parts, we covered the most likely ones, or the ones that I've heard most frequently, such as Shadow, Dark Samus, and Chrom. In this video, I'll be covering other Echo Fighters who I think are likely, or like they're possible, but they're not really they're not the most popular picks, but you know, off in the distance in some dark alley somewhere, you probably heard somebody talk about it. And the first one we're going to cover is Raichu as an Echo Fighter for Pikachu. This one seems very simple, very cut and dry, just a bigger, more powerful, slower Pikachu. And, uses like Raichu can learn all the same moves Pikachu can, and use the same Final Smash Pikachu can. So it would be a very easy fit as an Echo Fighter. But therein lies the problem. If Raichu was included as an Echo Fighter, it would be too simple. There wouldn't be, enough to really justify including. Like, Pikachu already covers that kind of small, cute mouse. I mean, Pichu has the benefit of being a veteran, being included at a much different time. So there's some leeway there. But Raichu, on the other hand, like to justify including another Echo Fighter that does this exact same thing as another fighter from a character standpoint, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to justify that kind of inclusion. I mean, I like Raichu, and I really hope that it gets in as an Echo Fighter for Pikachu, but I could see easily why that wouldn't happen. I don't really think it's all that likely. But, since I'm talking about, the subject of Raichu, I've heard this kind of weird sentiment when talking about Raichu, in that people who want Raichu, the very few of them that exist, they want Raichu to sort of fill a niche, to fill in a gap, to complete a pattern, and that pattern being the entire evolutionary line of Pikachu. You got Pichu, you got Pikachu, and then you have Raichu. I don't think like that. I just really want Raichu in, again, because I like Raichu. Raichu is a really cool Pokemon. It's very useful in a competitive sense. Like, it's very fast. It has a lot of utility. It's great with other Pokemon. Like, I've seen some top tier doubles teams use Raichu alongside Primal Groudon, and to great effect. And I've always just kind of liked Raichu a bit more than Pikachu. So yeah, I don't want Raichu in just to fill a quota. Like, that's not really why at all I'd want any character to be included. And in fact, I kind of really hate that idea. It's like, it's like when people are talking about Decidueye for Smash 4 DLC and Smash Ultimate. People wanted Decidueye in order to complete a trio with Greninja and Charizard should they return. So it's like, well, is that really the only reason why you want the character in, to complete some sort of pattern that doesn't really exist? I mean, patterns have never been a thing that anybody developing the game has ever considered. Nobody ever thinks, oh wow, we got these two characters in, we should include these ones to fit that pattern, to fit that. Like, I understand why people think like this, because people love pattern recognition. I mean, people love that idea that, oh, well, we can kind of have an inkling on what Sakurai and the team are going to do. At the end of the day, Sakurai just sort of does whatever he wants, and I mean, and the thing that he mostly holds up in terms of characters to be included are what they can do, how unique they are, the kind of characters they are. I mean, just stuff like that. It's never a pattern. It's never like, oh, we have so-and-so characters already in there, we need more villain characters. I mean, he doesn't think in terms of, that's what people go on talking about, oh, we need a rep from this, we need a rep from that. It's like, well, no, we don't need a rep from this. You want a rep from this. There's a big difference there. So anyways, just to sum up, I really want Raichu in. I don't think it's really likely, but it could happen. There's still a possibility. It'd be very simple, it'd be very easy to figure out. So, yeah, there we go. So the next character we're going to cover is Black Shadow as an Echo Fighter for Captain Falcon. I think people kind of overlook this character, to be perfectly honest. I mean, yeah, the F-Zero series isn't very big, isn't very popular, isn't very relevant, but at the same time, it's still considered a major Nintendo thing, at least in regards to Smash. And so, like you've still seen like new stages, like in Smash 4 on the 3DS, we got a new Mute City track, which looks really nice, and I hope actually comes to Smash Ultimate. But given how obscure the F-Zero series is now, it's kind of unlikely that we'll actually get a completely original F-Zero fighter as a newcomer, so Echo Fighter would probably be the way to go. And, you know, Black Shadow just fits that really, really well. I mean, as an Echo Fighter for Captain Falcon, they have very similar builds, and, I mean, he's a villain character, so he has some importance in the series. I kind of imagine him being like a Ganondorf classic. Like, I know like Ganondorf's a Captain Falcon clone, but he's changed so much over the games, and, you know, one thing that Sakurai's always been terrible about is, you know, keeping like, he doesn't want to change characters too much, because he doesn't want to alienate the people who played as those characters and like those characters that way. And there are people who like Ganondorf as a clone of Captain Falcon, but, you know, with Ganondorf receiving these kind of changes, it would kind of make sense, like, to include a character who's more like a Ganondorf classic, who's more like that kind of Captain Falcon clone, like slower, more powerful, heavier kind of Captain Falcon clone that people would really gravitate towards. Like, people played as Ganondorf in Melee, they'd be right at home with Black Shadow. There's also the fact that, you know, the F-Zero series have had very few characters. Like, ever since the original game, they just haven't, like, they've had stages, they've had trophies, but they haven't had a whole new character. And like the Earthbound series has had Lucas as a new character in Brawl. I mean, granted, Lucas was included because he had a game that was being developed at the time, but it was just like, you know, the F-Zero series had a large cast of characters, and you could include something from there. You know, it'd be like, I'm not saying that they need representation per se, but it could work. You know, it could really work, and it'd be really nice. You know, in terms of changes that would separate Black Shadow from Captain Falcon, mainly you would just have to change the Falcon Punch to something like more like a headbutt. You know, with a shadowy bull effect as a good contrast. As I said before, he would also need to be like heavier, slower, but more powerful to compensate, but not to the same degree as Ganondorf. I could even imagine his Final Smash too. Like, it would be the same as Captain Falcon's, but he'd drive up on the Black Bull, and he would jump out of the cockpit and land face down on it, like, head first, just ram into other people. Like, it really just brings out that he's like really destructive and chaotic, and like that just, come on, that just looks really cool. But of course, again, like, he's from the F-Zero series, and F-Zero's been kind of neglected. There hasn't been a new game, but there could be a new game, but in terms of representation, like, Smash is really all they got. They're not going to get a new game anytime soon, really. You know, fingers crossed they could, but, you know, it's just not really, it doesn't seem like a really high priority at all. Also, some people have suggested Blood Falcon instead of Black Shadow. Aside from the fact that Blood Falcon is already included as an alternate color for Captain Falcon in this game, he really doesn't have anything in terms of character that would separate him enough from Captain Falcon. Like, not to the same degree as Dark Pit. I mean, with Pit and Dark Pit, it's quite literally night and day. I mean, Dark Pit is much darker, more gruff, more inherently violent, and he uses different weapons than Pit does. So, like, he's a different character entirely. Compared to, like, Blood Falcon, that's literally just evil Captain Falcon. There's really nothing that separates them. And, you know, Black Shadow, while he doesn't have the deepest characterization or motivation, it's just, he has a better visual identity compared to Blood Falcon, who just looks way too similar to Captain Falcon, so people, like it just doesn't make any sense, if you ask me. But yeah, I'd really like to see Black Shadow get included as an Echo Fighter. I mean, you know, like, the F-Zero fan base is most likely not going to get a new game for a while, so it's nice to give them something else that isn't just stages or music. But to be fair, the music they are including is, oh, it's going to be good. They've just shown off an F-Zero track on the Smash Bros. Block, and oh my god, it's just wonderful. It's the guy who did the music for Daytona USA, and it's just full of wonderfully cheesy English, and I just love it. It's just so perfect. Alright, so the next character is Dry Bowser. Now, personally, I think that Dry Bowser is better served as an alternate costume, But given that we've been given no indication that alternate costumes, like unlockable alternate costumes, will even be a thing in this new Smash Bros. Game. But in terms of all likelihood, he'd probably just be included as an Echo Fighter. I could see there being like a few changes to his moveset, such as, you could change the fire from red to blue, maybe give it a bit more range. You can make him lighter, deal less damage. So yeah, he'd be more like a rushdown character than just a straight up powerhouse like Bowser. But honestly, I would just rather have him as an alternate costume, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I like Dry Bowser well enough. He's really cool, he's really spooky, but there's just really not much else that you could, like, you can find things to change about him, but it's just like, why not include him as an alternate costume? It'd be so much cooler. Same with Dark Bowser. Honestly, Dark Bowser's cool and all, but he does a lot of things that Bowser already does on his own, and so it's like, well, why would you include him as an Echo Fighter when they're that similar, you know? I mean, he just worked so much better as an alternate costume. I don't know. But yeah, I know this one was a bit short. It's likely, I mean, you can find things to include again, but it's just, there really just there isn't much. There really isn't much. Next we have Impa from Legend of Zelda. A lot of people have gotten kind of perturbed by the fact that the only Legend of Zelda characters that we've had playable in Smash have all been just Link, Zelda, and Ganon. And yeah, I definitely feel it now, especially with young Link returning as a veteran fighter. It's very bizarre, and it's like all the other characters that people could potentially see as a new fighter have become like assist trophies and all that stuff. Like Tingle could be a new fighter, Midna, Girahim. I mean, all these characters that could have been included as really cool playable fighters, they just don't choose them for whatever reason. So then we get more Link, Zelda, and Ganon. But I think Impa would work really well as an Echo Fighter for Sheik. I mean, they both use very similar kinds of maneuvers, like they're both ninjas. I mean, Impa, from what we've seen, is a bit more forceful than stealthy, but I think it would make sense, you know? I mean, Impa does have history to her, like much like Link, Zelda, and Ganon. I mean, she appears quite sort of frequently in Zelda games. Like, she's appeared in the original game, she's appeared in Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, so there's a lot to work with there. And, you know, you could have her be like, let's see, you can have her be like heavier and a bit slower, but maybe jump a bit higher, so sort of like Falco, actually, now that I think about it. And maybe you could have her attacks be a bit different, like instead of needles, she throws kunai, but she can store less than Sheik can. And you know, like that's even considering like if we're gonna actually get a new Zelda character. Like, I think it could work. I totally do. I'm totally in support of it. I think it has a decent chance of happening, but honestly, it's just, I really don't know though, you know. So anyways, that's the end of part 3. I'll be covering more Echo Fighters in the next part, so stay tuned for that. And anyways, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, bye.